Do you remember when Visa cards first came out? You were used to paying with cash or with a check, and then a Visa came out. It was this weird payment system that you didn't understand. And she said, yeah, I remember that. I said, well, Bitcoin is just the next evolution of another payment system.
Brace yourself, Nakamoto was the foundation.
What up guys, Nakamoto Crypto here, and today we have got DeFi is now in trouble, or at least DeFi is at risk. DeFi could fall under regulatory pressure if it is seen as a safe haven for money laundering. The rapid growth in decentralized finance and yield farming is likely to attract greater regulatory attention, according to a recent report. A joint research paper by global management consulting firm BCG, Platinum, and Crypto.com has indicated that the rapid growth of DeFi in 2020 has created the potential for money laundering, which will bring it under the radar of regulatory authorities. Since the beginning of the year, the dollar value of crypto collateral locked across DeFi platforms has increased to over 1,200% to reach $9 billion, according to a data provider called DeFi Pulse. DeFi, by design, is permissionless and decentralized, which means, unlike centralized exchanges, there are no KYC requirements for users. It operates largely beyond the realm of governments and regulatory control, which raises concerns about illegal access to financial services, according to the report. Commenting on the report in its newsletter, CipherTrace noted, since DeFi protocols are designed to be permissionless, anyone in any country is able to access them without any regulatory compliance. As a result, DeFi can easily become a haven for money launderers. DeFi protocols believe that they can escape the threat of regulations by moving to full decentralization, including governance, meaning regulators would be unable to shut the platforms down, even if they wanted to. However, the scale and governance of DeFi protocols varies greatly in terms of full decentralization. Some protocols, such as Uniswap, have had substantial venture capital backing by highly centralized corporations, Anderson, Horowitz, and Union Square Ventures in this case. There is a fear that global regulators could turn their attention to DeFi as it grows in scale. This may involve using decentralization identity and address checking service in order to blacklist certain users. Fiat also needs to enter the ecosystem at some point, which is usually via traditional centralized exchanges, which are increasingly regulated. Financial Action Task Force, which is the FATF regulations, include the travel rule, which requires virtual asset service providers to collect and transfer customer information during transactions. This may end up with the mass whistleblowing and blacklisting of blockchain addresses associated with certain tokens, exchanges, protocols, and even users. If fiat on-ramps such as centralized exchanges are prevented from transferring crypto to DeFi associated addresses, then DeFi protocols may be forced to adopt KYC and other regulations. The research noted that the current FATF recommendation is that DeFi protocol is sufficiently decentralized, and the entity behind it is not involved in daily operations. It may not be classified as virtual asset service providers and therefore will be immune from the travel rule. But as CipherTrace noted, judging by the current regulatory trend of greater KYC and other compliance requirements such as the FATF travel rule, DeFi could eventually fall under the scope of global regulators as it grows in scale. So there you have it. Every industry that has come before DeFi has fallen heavily under the SEC's rules. So the SEC is always after organizations like this. If you remember back in 2017, during the ICO bubble, a lot of those companies were scammed. If not 90% of them were garbage projects, garbage tokens that had went down to zero and lost 98% of their value. And it took the SEC a year to bring them down. You had celebrities back then that was promoting ICOs and rubbish garbage coins that has gotten in trouble because of this. After that, during the same year in 2017, you had high yield investment programs, which were all illegal. Two of the biggest one of those was OneCoin and BitConnect. Both stole millions of dollars from innocent investors who just got caught up with it because of the hype, and they regretted it heavily as the SEC shut them down both quickly. Now you got DeFi with all of these food tokens such as Yam and Pumpkin Coin and all of these tokens pumping on one night and dumping the next day to zero. This has to be regulated to an extent because it becomes unfair to those who try to play that dangerous game. So what this article is pretty much highlighting is that if the real money launderers learn how to use DeFi and take advantage of it, they are going to hurt a lot of people. That's where the SEC comes in, and the FATF and all of these financial institutions to regulate this thing. Because right now as we speak, 90% of DeFi projects are garbage. So you have to be extra careful. Of course, there will be that 10% that will prevail. And 5 years from now, we will be talking about it as they will succeed. Whether it is going to be a yield farming project or something else in DeFi, but it will eventually prevail. But at the moment, the garbage coins need to be shaken out of decentralized finance before this thing goes bust. Lastly, we have got the CEO of MicroStrategy, Michael Saylor, explains his $425 million bet on BTC. MicroStrategy is prepared to hold its Bitcoin for at least a century, which is 100 years from now. Business intelligence firm's founder Michael Saylor, in an interview with CoinDesk on Tuesday, shortly after he announced on Twitter that MicroStrategy was doubling down on the Godfather cryptocurrency Bitcoin with the purchase of 175 million more worth of BTC pretty much. He says, I quote, "I want something that could put $425 million into Bitcoin for the next 100 years. This is the same Michael Saylor who back in December 18th of 2013, 7 years ago, tweeted that Bitcoin's days are numbered and it's only a matter of time before it suffers the same fate as gambling. And fast forward to now, 7 years later, he tweeted just 2 days ago on December 14th, 2020, this right here, that another $175 million have been put into Bitcoin, which is a total of 38,250 Bitcoin they are holding for the future to benefit their own company. Mr. Michael Saylor says that I went down the rabbit hole during the C-19 pandemic, admitting that he was wrong to have doubted Bitcoin back in the $600 ranges. This guy could have bought BTC when it was worth $600. How many of us would have wished to jump into Bitcoin at that price? But he did say that he wished he knew then what he knows now. That's the power of cryptocurrency. And on that click, if you like the content, please don't forget to leave a like, share, subscribe for some daily crypto updates. I have been Mr. Nakamoto Crypto, and I'm out.
Bitcoin under $8,000.
Buy it.
Bitcoin under $5,000.
Buy it.
Bitcoin over $10,000.
Buy it.
Bitcoin is over $20,000.
Buy it.
Bitcoin under $8,000.
Buy it.
Bitcoin under $5,000.
Buy it.
Bitcoin is over $10,000.
Buy it.
Bitcoin is over $20,000. Best performing asset in the last 10 years. True. Look into crypto, we need volunteers. No need to tiptoe, it won't disappear. Do your research, history made it clear.